I don't think I do this much, but I'm about to get on my soapbox. Hello everyone. Alright, first the disclaimer. I'm not a tire expert. I'm just an average Joe trying to buy a set of tires for my travel trailer. The trailer is about 2 years old now. Since we take long trips throughout the summer of 6,000-7,000 miles at a time, I like to play it on the safe side with my tires. Everything you see on the internet would lead you to believe that these things will spontaneously combust at any moment. The original tires that came with the trailer, what's referred to as the China bombs. Here's an original tire that came with the trailer. It's 2 years old now. They were, the brand is Constancy, which is a made in China trailer tire. We managed to get 2 years and about, I'm gonna estimate about 10,000 miles, maybe 12,000 miles out of them. But we have a trip coming up that we leave in a few weeks for, and we'll be doing another 6,000 miles through some pretty hot parts of the country, and didn't want to risk these 2-year-old tires. They had plenty of tread left on them, so in many ways it feels a bit silly to be purchasing new tires when these look so good, but for the cost of a set of tires, the peace of mind that it gives, I'm happy to do it. So through a little online research, I discovered that Carlisle Radial Trail HD seems to be a well-respected tire with many miles on the road and great feedback. I went to my local discount tire store, which I have can't say enough nice things about. Customer service is top-notch above any company in any area that I shop in. I've been very impressed with the crew over there at Discount Tire. So I continue to take my business back there. I went earlier in the week, placed an order because they didn't have the tires in stock, and I ordered the Carlisle Radial Trail HD in a load range D. Now this trailer, which when I'm fully loaded, I'm about 7,500 pounds. The trailer came with load range C tires, which gave me a total weight capacity on my tires that was actually below the weight of the trailer. But when you remove the tongue weight from the trailer, it was just under spec. I wasn't comfortable with that. I'm sure most of you are not comfortable with that. So my game plan was to go one higher in the load range, and that's why I ordered the D's. Now this is where the story gets interesting. This is not your basic order tires story. Many of you will probably feel like you would have thrown the towel in on this way sooner than I did, but like I said, Discount Tire, you know, a helicopter would fly by when I'm trying to we don't see a helicopter but once a month, and I'm going to talk through the helicopter, hope you don't mind. But like I said, Discount Tire had really earned my my respect and earned a little bit of leeway, so that was a part of how I kept my cool through this story. I went in on a weekday and placed an order because they didn't have the tires in stock. I've got birds and all kinds. He said the tires would show up on Friday through FedEx and that I could have an appointment on that Saturday morning, which was this morning. They also price matched the lowest price I could find on the tires on the internet, so kudos to them. He calls me last night and says that FedEx didn't run to their store, my tires are behind schedule, but good news is they have another set of tires that will fit if I was willing to accept those, and they would put those on in the morning. They were more expensive tires, he said, and they wouldn't upcharge anything. Of course, my red flags go off right away because I've seen too many stories on the internet of quality control with trailer tires. I asked him what tire. He said it was the Goodyear Endurance line, which is a brand new line of tires. I couldn't dig up much on the internet as far as people who have, you know, used them very long. I don't think they've been on the road more than about 6 months. But they are priced at about 40% 50% higher than the Carlisles, and they're priced at the top of the market for this particular tire. So I was willing, felt like I was going to get a value, and so I was willing to do it. I said, sure, we'll go ahead with that. And I showed up this morning at 9 o'clock. He meets me out at the car and he says, I got good news and bad news. He says the bad news is that this morning someone sold the set of Goodyear Endurances that he had marked for me before I got there, which I think may have been a bit of a story. The chances of someone coming in for that exact set of tires when they've only had the doors open for 30 minutes at that point are pretty slim, but took him at his word. He said the good news is there is a set of the original Carlisle HD that you wanted originally. There's a set in at a local warehouse. If I was willing to wait an hour or two, they would get what I had originally ordered for me and I'd be on my way. I said sure. I had a couple of errands to run today, so I ran my errands, went to Lowe's, went to the Ford dealership, did a few things. Came back about 2 hours later. They were most of the way through the job. Went up to the trailer, noticed that on the tires they put on the trailer, they were load range C. They were not what I ordered. So I point out to him that they're load range C. He calls the local warehouse where he got the tires from. The local warehouse gave him the wrong tires. He says that it'll be a while before they can get one of their employees to go pick up the tires at the warehouse. Would I mind going to the warehouse and swapping out for the correct tires? The warehouse was 5 minutes away. Although it was out of the ordinary, I was willing to do it. I get there. The guy there is very confused about SKU numbers and product numbers and this and that. And long story short, he doesn't have the load range D. He only had the load range C. So he sends me back to Discount Tire. At this point, I have about 4 hours invested in getting a new set of tires. When I show up at Discount Tire, I tell them, I said, listen, you guys have been phenomenal on all our past business in the last 4 to 5 years. You've certainly earned the right to make a mistake. Mistakes happen. But I am getting a bit frustrated, and I've now spent most of my Saturday dealing with this. He goes to the computer, he comes back to me, and he says that they actually do have the Goodyear Endurance, but in a slightly different size. These are 205 75 14s, and he had a 215 75 14. I ask about the size differences, make sure it's not an issue, and he says no, it's not. For my troubles, they throw in the replacement certificates for their tires like Discount Tires does, which I've actually had to use before, so I can see that being beneficial. They threw those in. They mounted what you're looking at here is the Goodyear Endurance 215 75 14s in a load range D. He throws in the certificates, and then he also offers, and he puts on my receipt, that I can go on my trip this summer with these tires. If there's anything I find not to my satisfaction, I can come back in after our trip and he'll replace it at no cost with the Carlisles that I originally ordered. Boy, it's a mouthful. I think I have what could be considered an upgrade from what I was originally ordering, but the truth is these are untested tires. They don't have a track record, and I am feeling a bit like Goodyear's guinea pig here. To get to some layman's impressions of the tires themselves. At first glance, I can tell that build quality is up a bit. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I feel like I can tell that. And I did get to feel sidewalls of a load range C compared to a load range D. And there is, you can feel it. You can feel the difference. I tried to pay attention on the drive home to flex in the trailer. Maybe I thought the trailer might be a little, I couldn't tell anything. Just in appearance, the tread depth, I think the site says it measures 8/32 of an inch or something, but the tread depth seems very shallow on these tires. I don't know if that's a good judge of tire or not, but you know, again, a layman is going to look at a shallower tread and think that he doesn't have as much life on the tire. I'm thinking that's not the case, that there are other factors involved in tire life. Maybe a shallower tread helps the cooling process. There's less rubber flexing around in the tread. I don't know. By the end of the summer, I'll have 7,000 miles or so on these Goodyear Endurance, and we'll be able to report back as to what I noticed. Hopefully I notice nothing. It's the end of the day. I've had a few hours to settle down since I got back, and rant is over. Thank you for letting me vent. All in all, I'm hopeful I have a good product. I'm happy with the service that I got from Discount Tire. I want to make that clear. I'd love to hear some feedback from anyone that knows more about tires than I do. Any comments on the change of brands? I know this is a new line for Goodyear. Everyone has high hopes. It's made in the US. Should have corrected some of the problems that they had with their Marathon line. Any comments about the change from a 205 7514 to a 215 7514? I'd appreciate any input you might have. If you find the video interesting, please hit the like button and subscribe.